Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the second webinar, CFOA preseason webinar. Just a few ground rules. Please stay on mute. If you do have any questions, please use the chat feature, and I'll be monitoring that. And Don is going to leave time at the end for questions as well. So please use those functions. And tonight, our speaker is Don VanDemark. He's been with CFOA 9 years. And he's beginning his a new career path, I guess you might say, in college replay as well this year. So Donna, go ahead, take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. I appreciate it, and really glad we're doing this for the officials. It certainly is. We all need to keep working on getting better. Me putting this presentation together helped me learn. So what we're going to talk about today is basic spot. And this came about because I was looking at one of Chris's quizzes, and I sent him back just a quick note saying, hey, that was a great question about the basic spot. And he said, do you want to present on it? Because basic spot's really a big concept. And I know we've got a lot of experienced people here on the call. If you have any questions or any comments or think I've misstated something, please chime in on the chat and I'll try and catch that. And we'll get going. So let's see. So because we have 30 minutes, I may not get to questions because basic spot is there's a good amount involved, but I'll try and leave some space. If I don't get the questions and you put them in chat, I will get to it afterwards, and I'll send you answers directly through email. My contact information is there on the screen. If you want to reach out to me for any reason, I'll have that slide at the end as well. Now, basic spot is a piece of penalty enforcement. And if we were to try and talk about all of penalty enforcement, we'd be here for 3 or 4 hours, because we have the types of fouls. We have automatic first downs. We have a loss of down. We have the type of plays. We have clean hands principle. We have the basic spot. We have special enforcements, the all but one principle, the enforcement spot, the inadvertent whistle, clock adjustments, untimed downs. All that is involved in trying to enforce penalties. We're going to concentrate on just this one piece, basic spot. We're gonna touch a little, but basic spot itself, I need to talk about the type of plays, and I'm actually going to spend most of my time talking about the types of plays. And if you don't know what that means, you're about to find out. Before we get into any of that, why the basic spot? Why is the basic spot so important? And that comes down to the all but one principle. When I started officiating, it's something I kept hearing. All but one principle means you do this. All but one principle means you do that. Nobody explained what the all but one principle was. It wasn't until my 4th, 5th, 6th year as an official that somebody finally sat down and said, okay, this is what it means. And I grabbed this chart from a document, and this very clearly defines what the all but one principle is stating, which is that except for one instance, we're going to enforce the penalty from the basic spot. And that's why the basic spot's important. And that only time we're not going to do that one time is if the foul was by the offense and the foul was behind the basic spot. So we still have to know the basic spot. So why do you care? It's the referee's, umpire's job to enforce penalties. Well, no, it's all of our jobs. The linesman and the line judge both have things they need to be doing during the penalties. They're more likely the ones who threw the penalties, so they should be thinking through the enforcement as well to help along, because it's the crew's responsibility. No one is all-knowing and perfect, so anything you can bring to the crew to help is a big assist. So if we wanted to talk about just the basic spot, I'd throw up this slide, we'd talk for 5 minutes, we'd be done. Because this is the basic spot. It's the previous spot for any foul that occurs simultaneously with the snap or the free kick, and this would be things like illegal motion, illegal shift, so on and so forth, or during our loose ball play. couple of exceptions we're not going to get to right now. The basic spot is also the spot where the related run ends for a foul during a running play. Okay, so end of the run is what you normally hear. It's a succeeding spot for unsportsmanlike dead balls, non-player fouls. Those are all, we're all used to that. And the last one's a really, really minimal instance. It's where the result of a running play would be a touchback, and the basic spot would have been the end run in the end zone. This is essentially a good example of this would be a pass is intercepted by the defense in the end zone. He tries to run out. He doesn't make it out. He's tackled in the end zone. So the result of that running play, him being the runner in that instance, is a touchback. And the basic spot would have been right there in that end zone. Now the foul occurred because the defense held after the interception out at the 4. So we'll get into all that, or we won't get into all that. But there, basic spot, we're done. It's 7:06, we can go on. But the problem comes in understanding the underlined red words there. What is a loose ball play? What is a related run? What is a running play? Running play sounds easy. That's just a running play. Well, no, not always. So let's break down the types of plays here. We're not talking about pass plays or draws or RPOs. These are very specific rule book definitions. And there are only 2 types, but we can have both types in any down. We can have 2 types of plays in any single down. So what we have, let's start with loose ball play. What is a loose ball play? Loose ball play is action during a free kick or a scrimmage kick. So any action during any kick is considered part of the loose ball play, other than post scrimmage kick fouls. Again, exception we're going to shove to the side for a minute. A legal forward pass makes perfect sense. If a ball's in the air, it's loose. It's a loose ball. So that is a loose ball play. A backwards pass, including the snap, an illegal kick or fumble made by A from in or behind the neutral zone prior to a change of team possession. A lot of words there. You all know what those words mean, but there's a lot of concept there. But the things to really focus in on are, a ball on the ground, essentially, a backward pass that ends up on the ground, a fumble that ends up on the ground. And the important phrase is in or behind the neutral zone. It's important for all that. And prior to a change of team possession, all of that is important. Those are all very important words in defining what a loose ball play is. The loose ball play is also the run or runs which precede everything above it. Legal, illegal kicks, legal forward pass, backward pass, fumble. So even though there's running involved, it's part of a loose ball play if all that running precedes one of the things that causes a loose ball play. I've got a few examples that we'll go through and it'll help clarify it a little, but there's a lot of information going on here. Okay, there's a lot of words. The rule book is filled with a lot of words, and it's what we can do to look at it a new way, try and have it in our brains so that when we need it in that moment, in that pressure situation, it comes to us easily. So that's all loose ball play. All of those things are loose ball plays. So the other thing we have are running plays. Or what's a running play? Well, running play essentially is anything that's not a loose ball play. Okay, so we define loose ball play and then we come back behind it. We say a running play is everything else with a couple of exceptions because rule books are full of exceptions. There's a clause at the end that says, including the related run as in that rule reference, and that is essentially, that rule reference talks about a loose ball after a running play. So we're going to talk about that along the way as well. But if we have a loose ball after a running play, then that might be, it might all be part of the same running play. And I know that's really confusing because we just said the run that precedes all that action makes it a loose ball play. Examples will help, we'll get there. Another phrase you'll hear for running plays is the related run. And they're not synonymous, but they're really close. If we have more than one running play in any down, then it's important to know where each related run ends, because that's going to be a possible enforcement spot. So an example here, and we'll show it in a minute, is really simply a run up the middle. Runner goes 10 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, fumbles the ball, defense picks it up, runs the other way. We have two running plays there. Okay, we have related run 1, related run 2. So depending on where the foul happened, when the foul happened during the related run 1 or related run 2 will depend on where the basic spot is. Okay, so let's try and get into some examples to help. Play example 1, real as simple as we can get. Ball snapped to the quarterback goes back, turns, hands it off to his running back takes it up the middle and is tackled. This is simply a running play, related run number 1. That's all we have is a running play. Simple, straightforward. Play number 2. Quarterback rolls out to his right, passes it downfield beyond the line of scrimmage to a wide receiver catches it and runs. So what we have there is everything up until the reception is part of the loose ball play. Even that rollout by the quarterback is part of the loose ball play, because back in that definition, it said any run that precedes a legal forward pass is part of the loose ball play. The receiver catches it. Once he gains possession, it becomes a related run, and that's related run number 1. So that's a couple things we've got going on there so far. Moving on to play example number 3. Quarterback takes the snap, hands it off to the running back. Running back goes up the middle, fumbles the ball where the little squiggly line is. Defense picks it up, runs. We talked about this a little earlier. This is related run number 1. So the run and the fumble until it's possessed is a running play. Now, I'm going to back up off this slide for a minute. I'm going to back it back to the definition. This clause here, again, a backward pass or fumble made by a in or behind the neutral zone. This is beyond the neutral zone, which is what makes it a running play. Fumbles are only loose ball if they're in or behind the neutral zone. So I wanted to throw that phrase back up there. So we have related run number 1, which the fumble, the ball bouncing on the ground until it's possessed, is all related run number 1. If the foul were to happen anywhere along those lines, then the basic spot would be the point of recovery, because that is the end of the related run. And then we have our related run number 2, which is the defense returning the ball up the field. A few more examples, try and drive this home. Play number 4. Quarterback takes the snap, pitches it to the running back fumbles it. It's on the ground. He recovers it and then takes off. We have, I forgot I did these backwards. We had a loose ball play to start. We had a backwards pass, a muff right there behind the line of scrimmage. So all that becomes a loose ball play. He recovers it and runs. It's now a running play. Final simplistic example, we've got same thing. Quarterback takes the ball, pitches it, running back muffs the pitch, the backwards pass, goes along, picks it up, runs down the field, fumbles it beyond the line of scrimmage. It's returned by the defense. We have a loose ball play up until the point where the running back recovered the muffed backwards pass. We have related run number 1, which is his run all the way up to where he fumbles it and it was recovered by the defense. And we have related run number 2, which is the return by the defense. So as you see, we can start to get both types of plays, and we can get a multitude of running plays. And just for fun, we've got Cal Stanford back 1982, play with the band on the field and everything. What do we have? How do we break this down? If there had been a foul on this one, where would it have been? So the kick was a loose ball play. We had a free kick. It was a loose ball play up until it was caught. 26 caught the ball, ran, and then pitched it. When he pitched it and when it was caught by number 5, that was related run number 1. Number 5's run until he pitched it and it was caught was related run number 2. Related run number 3, number 4, number 5, and number 6. So we had related runs all over the place. And this is an extreme example of where there would be multiple related runs, and it might be important to know when you threw the flag, where was the end of that particular related run? And that would be where the next person caught the backwards pass. So that was a few examples of the different types of plays where we're talking about loose ball plays and running plays. So let's try and sum that all up now that we've looked at a bunch of X's and O's. Each down can have only one of 3 things that happen in it. You can either have a loose ball play, and that's all you have. That could be as simple as quarterback goes back to pass, throws a pass down the field, receiver goes out to catch it and falls to the ground while catching it. We had no related run there because everything was part of the pass. So we had a loose ball play. You can have a loose ball play followed by one or more running plays, as we saw in the Cal Stanford example. And then you can also just have one or more running plays. Therefore, if a down consists of a loose ball play, there can only be one loose ball play, and it must occur in the beginning portion of the down. So if there's a loose ball play, if you've gone through, if you're recreating the play in your mind and you deem part of it to be a loose ball play, that is the only part of that play that can be a loose ball play. Everything else is a related run, or it's part of that loose ball play. And if there's a change of possession, you can no longer even have a loose ball play. After a change of possession, everything is a running play. So back to the basic spot. We talked about the different types of plays. Now we know why we enforce the things where we enforce them. We go to the previous spot for any loose ball plays. Okay, so any of those things that are passes, and the funky ones are the fumbles that you have to go, okay, that was a run, but no, there was a loose ball play in there, and here's where it happened. The basic spot is also where the run ends during any running play. And again, we can have multiple running plays during any down. So it's important to know where each related run ends, depending on what happens. That went a lot faster than I expected. I talked pretty fast, I guess. Great resource that I used to double check myself and to try and create some of this is a paper written by Bob Succi from the New Jersey Football Officials Association. It was titled NFHS Penalty Enforcement for Officials. It's about 40 pages long. I created a short link to it, make it easier for y'all to write it down. You can also just Google, what did I Google? I think I Googled NFHS Penalty Enforcement, and that was the first thing that popped up. It was a really good resource. He put a lot of work into not just spitting back the rules, but rewriting them into his own words. And that was pretty much everything I had on the basic spot. As we talked about, there's more about penalty enforcement, but not that what fits within half an hour. So if there are any questions at this point, if anybody wants me to go back over an example, I'm more than happy to do that. We've got plenty of time at this point. I don't see any questions in the chat. I think I put everybody to sleep with basic spot talk.
It's important stuff to know, though.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And as I said, it presenting is a great learning opportunity because
Absolutely.
you take something you know, or you think you know, and now you have to prove you know it. So you're going to dive in even deeper and make sure you've got all the pieces. So
Hey, Don.
Yeah.
So can we go back to play 3 again? That was the simple run with a fumble, and then the defensive guy picks it up and runs.
Yeah.
So if a foul occurred while that ball was loose on that fumble, can you kind of talk about if it's a foul by the offense, where would that foul be enforced or not enforced? If a foul by the defense, where would we enforce that foul from? I think that's an important aspect when we're talking about basic spots.
For sure. For sure. So before I go there, let me go back to the chart just so it's visual for everyone. So we're going to talk about the offense fouling and the defense fouling. The only time we're going to enforce the penalty from anywhere but the basic spot is if the offense fouls behind the basic spot. So now all that said, let's go to the play. So first off, and I'm going to put my cursor right here. Can you all see my cursor?
Yes.
Okay, so that is the end of related run 1, where the defense recovers the ball. So if on the line of scrimmage, before the ball was recovered, we had a hold by the offense, then that is where the all but one principle applies, and we would go back to the spot of the foul.
Okay, can you stop there a second? Here's where I think I'm confusing.
Yeah.
The end of related 1-1, isn't that where the offense fumbled, not where it's recovered?
No, it is the loose ball is part of the run. Now, I did not think this far in advance when I drew this up, because I would have made the fumble go forward or backwards just to delineate it a bit more. But no, the fumble itself is part of the related run. And I don't know if I can bring up the rule quick enough to get where I need to get.
So then why do we, I'm just kind of going through to my head.
Yep.
And why do we beanbag the fumble spot? Shouldn't we then be beanbagging where the fumble is recovered? Because we might have to go, if that loose ball is part of the related run 1, we might have to use the beanbag spot as an enforcement spot. So we beanbag the end of the run where the offensive team lost the ball, not where the defensive team or the offensive team picked it up.
Sure.
So I believe, and I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. The basic spot is where the offensive team fumbled.
Okay.
And not where the defensive team picked it up.
Okay. That I'm trying to find a rule reference, and let me click on that.
Yeah, I think fundamentally we've always done it, as John has said, by marking the spot where the offense lost possession of the ball.
Right.
With the beanbag.
Yeah, and you're right. So if I go back, let me see if I put this rule reference in here. I did. So running play, any action anything that's not a loose ball play, including the related run, as in 241.9b. Let me read you 241.9b. The spot where a run ends is where the runner loses player possession if his run is followed by a loose ball. But the related run continues until the ball becomes dead or any player gains possession. So I interpret that, and the document I referred to backs me up on this, that the fumble itself is part of the related run. I'm perfectly willing to be wrong. But that's the way I read that.
So read that again, Don.
Sure. I don't think I can pull it up quickly enough.
That's okay.
So the spot where a run ends is where the runner loses player possession if his run is followed by a loose ball. But the related run, excellent point. I just figured it out. I'm going to read the whole thing and then I'll explain what I'm thinking. The spot where a run ends is where the runner loses player possession if his run is followed by a loose ball. But the related run continues until the ball becomes dead or any player gains possession. So you're absolutely right. My mistake. The basic spot is where the fumble happened, where the player lost possession of the ball. However, any foul that occurs while the ball is on the ground is still part of that play. That's the part I didn't get right. So instead of the end of the run being where the recovery happens, the end of the run is where the fumble happened, but it's still part of that whole related running play. Any action that happens during that fumble will be enforced from the end of that run, having nothing to do with the next phase of the play. Thank you, John. I appreciate you saying that.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I just want to make sure I was
Nope.
was understanding it. So again, so if we bring up that diagram of that play. So let's say the offense fouled while the ball was loose, right? Since the defense recovered, that foul is going to be declined.
Correct.
Okay. Now, if the defense fouls while that ball is loose, we're going to then tack that foul on to the end of the run, which again is the basic spot where that guy lost possession.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Absolutely the case. So, and that occurs because of the all but one principle. That is the enforcement, the basic spot's the enforcement spot, no matter where the foul happened by the defense, because it's by the defense. The basic spot will be the end of the run. So thank you for calling that out, John. All right. Anyone have any other questions before we wrap up? We've got a couple minutes.
Hey, Don, on that question right there that he just had, the basic spot is also determined on which side, am I right, on which side of the ball that the foul occurred? Is that right? Am I thinking that wrong?
That only applies if the foul is by the offense. Okay, so going back to the all but one principle, if the defense fouls, we're going back to the basic spot regardless of whether the defense fouled beyond or behind the basic spot. If the offense fouled behind the basic spot, say back at the last scrimmage or in the backfield or anywhere along the way, we're going to go the spot of the foul. But if it's beyond the base, if the foul's beyond the basic spot, we're going to come back to the basic spot. Did I answer that?
Yes, that's correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. All right, we are at 7:29. Any other questions before we wrap up? Okay, I think that's it then. Chris, I'll turn back over to you to wrap up.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for attending this evening. We will have our next webinar next Wednesday. And Jason Carroll will be presenting. We're going to talk about the tackle box, which in regards to the new rule and being able to legally, if you will, ground the ball. So that will be next week. Thank you, everyone, for coming. And Don, thank you again for presenting. Appreciate it very much.
A good discussion, Don.
No, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for participating. I appreciate it. All right. Have a good night, everyone.
All right, you do the same.